Yo, what it do? The name is Alex, spelled Lekkisi. You might find out if you ask me why. Okay, that was an exaggerated intro, but I didn't know what else to do with the intro. Anyways, I there's something I want to talk about. Last night, or the early hours of this morning, I was scrolling through TikTok, and TikTok was suggesting certain videos to me on my For You page, aka FYP. What is odd about these video suggestions was that it was a sport that I do not partake in or play regularly. I haven't played or been to a place where this sport is played in, I'd say, about 6 months. I'm not mentioning the sport because I kind of do not want to tie this to that person. But okay, moving on with the story. 3, 4 a.m. I'm scrolling, and every second video is the sport. Now, I have had a conversation with someone who is interested in the sport. She's quite keen on the sport, actually. She regularly plays the sport. And as I'm scrolling through my FYP and I'm seeing the sport constantly being shown on my TL, my mind goes to her. So I'm thinking, how much of us does TikTok know? The TikTok algorithm. I refer to it as TikTok because it's just a platform that the code lives on. But the TikTok code, the TikTok algorithm, how much of us does it know? Because this person and I have exchanged DMs for a long time. We have met up once, just met up. And since that meetup, which is almost 2 weeks ago now, we haven't spoken. Now, is TikTok trying to hint and tell me that, yo, this person is probably stalking your timeline. So here's your feed, your timeline. What is it called on TikTok? That thing. So here's something you know about this person. But I can't tell you who it is exactly because of privacy laws and ethics behind privacy on that platform. So I'm going to suggest something I know that you know about this person. And I'm going to do it so often that you will have no choice but to think about this person. This had me thinking. The TikTok algorithm might be sentient. I know it's a reach, but I have been wanting to DM this person. I have thought about it, and I'm quite sure that this person thinks about me too, just based off of their posts, and not in a romantic way, just a person of interest way, where you're both curious about each other. TikTok has definitely, I won't say definitely because I don't have proof for this, but I feel like TikTok has reached a point where it is thinking, it is using so much information to come to certain deductions or conclusions that it's no longer just a platform where you're scrolling through videos. The code itself is interacting with you and the people around you, which is insane. Now, this had me thinking about where AI technology is going. What is happening to AI technology? Recently, there's a whole buzz on DeepSeek, China's version of an LLM, which is meant to compete against the likes of OpenAI, Google, Facebook, or Meta, Llama. And what's interesting is the cost or the amount of money it has taken them to get this thing to function or to surpass the currently existing LLMs, large language models, which are ChatGPT, your Llama. What else? Which other ones are there? Google has one as well. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, ChatGPT, Llama. Those are the major ones. Now, those platforms needed billions of dollars to reach the point where they are. They needed billions of dollars for research, billions of dollars for training. It's come out that DeepSeek, that's what it's called, DeepSeek, has managed to surpass these other platforms with a budget of about $6 million. Now, I'm reading a book called The Singularity is Near, and I just want to read a portion of it. Yeah, just a portion of it. So it says here, page 184. The law of accelerating returns applies to all of technology, indeed, to any evolutionary process. It can be charted with remarkable precision in information based technologies because we have well defined indexes. For example, calculations per second per dollar or calculations per second per gram to measure them. There are a great many examples of exponential growth implied by the law of accelerating returns in areas as varied as electronics of all kinds, DNA sequencing, communications, brain scanning, brain reverse engineering, the size and scope of human knowledge, and the rapidly shrinking size of technology. The latter trend is directly related to the emergence of nanotechnology. Now, this chapter in this book basically just talks about how there comes a point when growth is no longer exponential, but it reaches its limit. It reaches its limit to a point where it's no longer exponential. And the rate of the next thing has become so minuscule. This is what has happened with all your previous large language models and DeepSeek, where these people are spending billions, probably hundreds of billions. I don't have exact numbers, compared to a $6 million budget. And what DeepSeek, China has done with DeepSeek is they've surpassed what everyone else was doing with a fraction of the budget. Now you can credit this to open source because code for all the other LLMs and how they function and how they collect their data, what data they're collecting, maybe not what data they're collecting, is available for the Chinese to use. Still though, what they have done is incredible. Now, this brings me back to no, we're not going back to TikTok yet. So this is basically a repetition of what Elon did with SpaceX and the whole SpaceX space travel versus NASA, the National Aeronautic Space Agency of America. I think that's what it is. Where Elon brought the fraction of space travel down to a fraction of what it used to be. Not just that, he made rockets reusable. So he completely changed how space travel works. Are we on the brink of that with how technology or with how AI works? Now, it's very easy to look at it on the surface with the function that LLMs serve. We're looking at them as a simple input output system. You ask it a question and it answers you back. Now, we need to look at all of these technologies and their isolated functions as coming together at some point. The things that Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink, the things that Perplexity is doing with large language models. So Perplexity is, I want to say it's an offset of OpenAI, but they don't claim it to be. So Perplexity, their main research is trying to make large language models sound as natural as possible. They're trying to make them talk as human as possible. They're trying to make their responses so human that it can almost predict what it was you wanted to say. Have you ever put in a search, or have you ever tried to search something on Google, but you just can't put the right words together to find the thing you're looking for? Perplexity solves that question, or solves that equation, that problem. Now, Neuralink, Perplexity, other large language models, the ChatGPT, OpenAI, DALI as well, your image generation models, put together with something as powerful as the TikTok algorithm. I think the TikTok algorithm being left out of a lot of conversations is purposeful, because that thing is crazy powerful. The TikTok algorithm is the thing that is operating as close to human as possible, because it's basically having a conversation with you. Think about it. My situation, that sport, I never interact with most of the content related to that sport. I rarely get suggestions or content on that sport. I've met with this person. We're supposed to be having a conversation, but we are not, because I haven't DM'd. All of a sudden, that one thing I do know about her, that one thing that is unique about her, is suddenly being thrown in my TL every second video. It becomes interesting. So here's the kicker. I'm going to read it just as I put it. Large language models, nanotech, biotech, and the TikTok algorithm do not exist in isolation. What happens when all of these come together? How do they come together? How are we going to express these technologies to create what these tech guys are ultimately trying to create, which is the all-knowing being? They're trying to create an all-knowing being. Maybe not all-knowing, but they want to create a being that is so powerful that it is able to solve all the problems we are facing here as humans, so that we can elevate to that point where our function as humans is no longer what it has been for the last 500, 600 years, but and allow us to then find a whole new function within the system of things that we're in. This is a very interesting time. Don't let them convince you that the singularity hasn't already happened. It just hasn't taken shape yet. Your algorithms are talking to you in real time. The way they're linked to your cameras, the way they're linked to your microphones, the way your Wi-Fi, the way we are all linked to each other. The only reason Google, Waze, and all these traffic apps are able to tell you when there's traffic is tracking information on who's where at what time. Now look at that on a bigger scale with a platform like TikTok, Twitter, where we're having conversations all the time. These things are learning how to talk like us. These things are learning how we interact with each other. They're learning how we sub each other, how we throw shots subliminally. And that is being replicated on TikTok. Twitter, it can't be done so much. Maybe I just don't use Twitter or X as much anymore, but TikTok is able to do that very well. And I'm curious to see how this this thing, this being takes shape in physical form, because it currently exists as a cell phone, but there's latency between us and the cell phone. And the ultimate goal is to create zero latency. I'm curious to see how this thing takes shape. I'm curious to see what this technology will be used for. I want to go into cameras, I want to go into video content, but this is long enough for a video. My name's Alex, spelled Lekkisi, and I'm going to be sharing my mind on here. Don't take my words too seriously. I am not a professional computer scientist. I'm simply someone who is very interested in tech, how far tech can go, and I don't look at it in the doom and gloom perspective. I see it for what it is, what it can be, and kind of hopeful that it goes the right way. But yeah, um, that's pretty much it. Like, share, subscribe, the works. We're here for a good time and maybe a long time too, because our consciousnesses are being replicated and duplicated onto the internet. Here for a good time and a long time. Peace.